Hi, I'm Jeff. Well, this is another episode of Deskies. Anyway, today I'm going to be talking a little bit about a nostalgic subject for me. I'm going to take a trip down memory lane. I'm going to talk to you about my feelings about video stores. And there's still video stores around. There's, like, even around where I live, there's, like, family videos. And there's plenty of chains that have still survived. But I'm sure a lot of people watching this video remember places like Blockbuster Video, or most people had local video stores of choice. I know we did where I lived. But video stores, in their heyday, before the rise of DVD and eventually stuff like Blu-ray and now streaming, video stores were basically the only place you can go if you wanted to watch a movie, especially if that movie was a more modern movie. Occasionally, if you had cable, you might be able to watch it, but you had to pretty much watch whatever was on cable at the moment, and they would replay a movie over and over and over and over again. If they bought the rights to Smokey and the Bandit, HBO would play that. It seemed like non-stop. So just having cable did not mean you had a lot of variety. Even in premium channels. This was before places like HBO and Showtime had that many original shows as well. So there wasn't a lot of variety. So if you wanted to watch a movie, if you wanted to watch something a little different, you would go to the video store. Now, you have all kinds of options now, and I love service. I mean, I have a vast DVD collection, I have a vast Blu-ray collection, I have Netflix, I use Hulu. Obviously, I go on YouTube. I love the technologies making things easier. But there was something about going to a video store that's hard to really convey. And I'm going to do my best to convey that. But why it was such a unique experience, and why I feel a little bit like people today kind of have a disservice in the sense of using things like Netflix and Hulu. And I just know from personal experiences the differences, and that's kind of what I'm going to try to convey in this video. But you would go to a video store, and yeah, it sucked. You had to go there. You had to drive there, or walk there, or you had to do something. But the nice thing was, at the time when I was a kid, you had video stores almost everywhere. A lot of the supermarkets would have video stores. Where I live, there's Meijer chains, and the Meijers would have a video store. The Krogers would have a video store in their stores. You'd have privately owned video stores. You'd have chain video stores. You'd have like Blockbuster. I think there was like Video Planet or something, but you had video stores like that, chains, privately owned ones, so you could go in there. And what was nice about it, though, is, first of all, watching a movie at home felt a little more like an event. Yes, it's awesome that I could go on Netflix, and that if they happen to have the movie, I could watch a movie like Batman, and bam, it's on. That being said, there was something kind of special about having to go get a copy of Batman, bring it home, having to watch it that night, and kind of forcing yourself to watch something. Now, I don't know how many times I've went on Netflix and I'll look at a movie, for instance, and I'll say, oh, that looks good. I'll watch it later. It was kind of nice getting a video, because you kind of had to force yourself to watch it. You had to force kind of family time, too. Now you have streaming services or DVDs that you can put in every room. There isn't as much family time. And especially somebody like myself, who's had a lot of my family's passed away, some of that has meant a lot to me, and the memories have meant a lot to me. And that's something that I see nowadays, and I do it myself, I'm guilty of it, that, you don't get that connection as much. Movies don't seem as special now. It's not as much of a family event now. And I kind of miss that, and that's one nice thing video stores kind of brought people together. Another thing about a video store that was cool was, I can't count how many times I went to a local video store when I was a kid, and I'm a big movie buff, and I would go down like their old video selection, and they would have some obscure movie from like the 70s, and I would pick it up, and I would look at the case, for instance, and I'd be like, oh, the VHS has awesome artwork on it, and then you read the bag, and a lot of times the artwork didn't necessarily live up to the film, but it would get you interested in the film, and you go, oh, okay. A movie like Dragon Slayer, for instance, I would look at the cover and be like, oh, that's a really cool cover. The movie isn't the best, Dragon Slayer, but I got to watch it because it had a really cool cover. Walking Tall was another one I probably would never have watched if I didn't look at the cover and it didn't kind of catch my attention. I'm like, what's this about? Based on a true story? Oh, okay. And I love Walking Tall, the original with Joe Don Baker. They remade it with The Rock, which The Rock remake is a decent movie, but without the video store, there's a lot of movies I watch and I experience that if they were on Netflix, I would just pass by them. Netflix has a little thing, a little picture, and it's usually like a film still from the film. It doesn't usually necessarily make it seem all that grand. It doesn't give you a high expectation of the movie. They have a little sentence basically describing the movie, and that's that. And you have to base whether you want to watch the movie or not on that. And sometimes it still works. I've watched movies even if they're not great because I've liked the thumbnail, for instance. I watched Alien Abduction because I like alien stuff, and it's not the best movie in the world, but it got my attention. But that was the nice thing about video stores. They would get your attention. And even VHSs, Blu-rays now, they make them very simplistic. The artwork, for instance, I think Drew Strenson drew it for the original Star Wars movies, for instance. It's beautiful artwork for the original Star Wars trilogy. The movie posters that they used on the VHS covers were beautiful. Years later, with the DVD and Blu-ray releases, you basically got a Photoshop of all the characters. It doesn't do the film justice. Now, the film was still great. The Star Wars trilogy, it doesn't take anything away from it. What I'm saying, though, is there was some charm in going to the video store, picking out a VHS, based on the cover, based on the description on the back, taking it home, and it just made it seem that much more special. I'm all for all the advancements in the world. I have no problem. I loved it when they brought out DVDs, because I'm a film buff. I like the Blu-rays. I like streaming. But it's really hard to relate to people nowadays, especially younger people who didn't really grow up with things like Blockbuster as much. That a lot of older people, not like real old, I'm not old, but a lot of people have a special place in their heart for stuff like that, and they have a nostalgic feeling because it's more than just the movie. It was more than just the video. It was the experience. So that's just my little trip down memory lane. I just wanted to share it. I know I was ranting and raving a bit. Sorry about that. That's just sort of my mayhem in these videos. So I appreciate the fact that you've watched this, that you kind of connected a little bit with me, that we shared a moment, hopefully. Thank you for liking. Thank you for subscribing. If you haven't and you choose to, thank you for subscribing, which is kind of the same thing I just said. But thank you regardless. Take care and thank you.